Hello and welcome to Monday. Yesterday, my mom and her sisters went off to do some errands, and one of the things that my aunt had brought over to the house was a very large pumpkin. Yesterday evening, they were back in the house and they were cutting out the pumpkin. And I can't remember what exactly is going to become of the flesh of the pumpkin, but that leaves us with a couple of things. That leaves us with the pumpkin seeds and the pumpkin puree. Well, what we turned into the puree. So, the seeds we just lightly oiled and salted and let that, well, I think we just salted it and then let that rest overnight. Then lightly oiled it, tossed it in the oven. Came out amazing. Really, really good pumpkin seeds. They were devoured within minutes, and everybody really loved that. But the big thing would be the pumpkin, I guess, pulp. So last night, I took that pulp, blended it up into a puree, and then just cooked it on the stove so it reduced and all the water came out for like 30-45 minutes, something like that. Till we were left with like about a cup of pumpkin puree. So, one of the things that one of my cousins did last year for Thanksgiving was make pumpkin bread. So that's what I did today. Made some pumpkin bread. This is her recipe. What she did was shape it into pumpkins, but we just, made like little buns kind of thing. So, made some pumpkin bread. With the puree, I just added a couple of, like, a cinnamon stick, some cloves, allspice, and nutmeg, and let that rest overnight. And then this evening, toasted off all those spices, along with, additional amounts, and a little bit of ginger. Toasted that off, blended it up in a little blender for, nice spice grind. So you can see all of that in the those flecks in the bread, if it'll focus. And then will it focus back to me? There we go. Yeah, you can see all those little flecks of spice. So you could taste it. It's just basically pumpkin spice, but homemade. The only thing I wish I did was kind of just up that spice. I used a larger than normal amount of cinnamon as recommended per her recipe, but I wish I used more of the other spices. Maybe like a little more allspice and clove would have really kicked this up to the next level. But yeah, had a great time cooking this out. It's just like any normal other bread recipe, takes a packet of yeast, add some milk, add some sugar to that so yeast blooms. And then in another bowl, in a mixing bowl, you add butter and sugar and cream that together. And then you add the spice, the puree, some eggs, and salt. Stir that together, and then add all of the yeast mixture, and then add like 4 cups of flour, and that's pretty much it. Mix until it becomes a dough. Let that rest for an hour, divide it up into, we did 16 pieces, let that rest for another hour, toss in the oven for 20-25 minutes at 350, and boom, pumpkin bread. You can then coat it with a little bit more butter, and that's about it. I'll probably try to leave the full recipe down below, so it's there if you want it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm glad these turned out so well, and we used that pumpkin to its fullest extent. Like, what isn't being eaten is being composted, and every part of the pumpkin is being eaten other than like the very exterior, which is great. So now I get to enjoy some pumpkin bread. Anyway, that's what I'm gonna call it for today. Thank you all for watching. I hope to see you tomorrow. And until then, later.